Are you thinking about starting a podcast but want to make sure you can commit? Let's get into it. Hey there, I'm Alexis, your podcast manager, guiding you toward podcasting success. And today, we're about to have some fun. I work with clients regularly, and I'm always hopping on quick calls with potential podcasters who really want to join in on the podcasting fun. But not everyone is ready to commit to having a podcast. And most of the time, they don't even realize that they're not ready. So I'm taking it on myself as a podcast manager to share with you 5 things that no one tells you when you start a podcast. Number 1, podcasting is a marathon, not a sprint. Maybe you want to start the podcast as a new lead gen for your business, or maybe you just want to spread your message to the world and start out as a hobby. Either way, podcasting isn't an overnight thing. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes dedication. If you want to reap the benefits of having a podcast, that could mean generating new leads, finding and landing sponsors, promoting your products or services, sharing value or important resources to your audience, then you have to make this a priority. Too many times I've seen podcasters who start their podcast going strong. They tell themselves they're going to commit to this thing. They'll keep up with their weekly episodes, but then they quickly fall behind on recording, on booking guests, on trying to do all the things in their business, plus the podcast. It's a lot, and I'm here to tell you that it's a lot. Which leads me to number 2. How dedicated are you? Now, this is a genuine question you have to ask yourself. Are you in it for the long haul? If you are, then great. I say go for it. But if not, or maybe you're just not sure if you want to be in it for the long haul and you just want to try it out, then you can, but you're not going to see the results of growing your listenership, having that engaged audience, landing those sponsorships, monetizing your podcast in a way that you're like, dang, I'm doing this thing. Be real with yourself upfront. After all, you know yourself best. Are you going to stick with this? Even when it gets hard, or is this going to be another project started and left unfinished? Number 3, how valuable is your time? Once you commit to yourself and start working on the podcast, you'll quickly learn that it's going to take you some time to find your flow. You're learning new things, you're brainstorming new content, recording the episodes, editing the episodes, writing the show notes, scheduling the guests. It's very, very easy to become overwhelmed. Prioritize your time in a way that aligns with your energy. Record several episodes during those times, so on the days when you feel a little less motivated, you'll already have episodes recorded and ready to edit. If it gets to a point where it's not manageable for you to DIY the podcast, then consider outsourcing to an editor or podcast manager to help take those tasks off your plate. Guaranteed, you'll find the right help within your budget, so get it out of your head now that no one else can do it better than you. That is the fastest way to burn out, and we're not about that life. But gauge how you're feeling as you go along, and take note of what you enjoy and what you don't. Then start looking for someone to help take on those tasks and regain your energy levels back. Tasks. Number 4, this one is like wrapping the first 3 in a bow. What is your why? When I first started my business, people used to ask me this, what is your why? And to be honest, I didn't know how to answer that question. I started my business because I wanted to be my own boss and travel more. True story. But as time went on, I realized I do need to get clear on my why. And my why became I'm doing this thing because I wanted the freedom of time. Time for adventure, time with family, and time for myself. So in a way, why are you starting this podcast? What about this podcast are you trying to share with your listeners? What message are you trying to put out into the world? And why? If you're unsure, that's okay. Do a little brainstorm, think it over, and get clear on it. Once you're clear on your why, then anytime you feel unmotivated or you don't want to record an episode or you're unsure what to speak about or you're doubting yourself about this podcast, think about your why. It'll take a little rewiring in your brain to push everything else aside and solely focus on your why, but practice and I promise you it'll get easier. Number 5, the last thing that no one tells you about when you start a podcast is there's no such thing as too saturated. This is a common misconception with most things. People are so quick to say, the market is too saturated. I should have started sooner. There's already too many people doing the same thing as me. Well, I'm here to bust that myth and tell you, who cares? I read this quote once from Jada Seldner who said, there's no such thing as unique messages, only unique messengers. Just because there's already someone in your field or niche doing the same thing doesn't mean you can't. Your voice is just as important as the next person, and some people may even resonate with your voice, your messaging more than them. Even if they have a bigger following or are more popular or whatever. Think about Starbucks. Forget that they're all the same chain. There's one on almost every corner, but you go to your favorite local coffee shop, order the same coffee, talk to the same people because you like their vibe more. Same thing applies to your podcast. There's no such thing as too saturated. That's just something we've been told our whole lives, and unfortunately, we've believed it. Your voice matters, and it's important for you to get out your message because there are people waiting for you. Like you. Like you, the person behind the screen watching this video, not the other person doing the same thing. That person may not be their person, but you are. So get out there and start rocking this podcasting game. You got this.